When most people see a firefly, they see something beautiful. A tiny floating light drifting through the darkness. A symbol of peaceful summer nights. But what if that glowing light is not simply a decoration of nature? What if some of those flashes are actually coded messages? What if others are deadly traps designed to lure unsuspecting victims to their death? And what if one of the most efficient lighting systems ever discovered on Earth was not invented by humans at all, but by a small insect hiding quietly in your backyard? For centuries, fireflies have enchanted us with their beauty. Yet behind every flash lies a world of secret communication, chemical engineering, deception, survival, and astonishing intelligence that few people ever notice. So the next time you see those tiny lights dancing across the night, will you still see them as harmless sparks of beauty? Or are they something far more extraordinary than we ever imagined? Why fireflies are so extraordinary, we first need to understand what they actually are. Because despite their name, fireflies are not flies at all. They belong to a family of beetles called Lampyridae, a group containing more than 2,000 species found across forests, wetlands, grasslands, and river valleys throughout much of the world. And that creates our first surprise. Most people know fireflies because of their light, but their light is not what defines them. They are beetles first. Ancient survivors that have been evolving for millions of years, adapting to life in some of the most competitive environments on Earth. At first glance, a firefly seems delicate, almost magical, a tiny floating lantern drifting through the summer darkness. But nature rarely invests that much energy into beauty alone. Behind every flash is a purpose. Behind every glow is a message. And behind that peaceful appearance is an insect driven by the same forces that shape all life on Earth. Survival, reproduction, competition. Every pulse of light costs energy. Every signal carries information. Every moment of illumination serves a biological purpose. What appears to us as a beautiful decoration of the night is actually part of a highly sophisticated survival system refined over millions of years. And perhaps that is where the biggest misunderstanding begins. Because when most people look at a firefly, they see a harmless symbol of summer. Entomologists see something very different. They see a living communication network, a chemical engineer, a predator during its early life, and in some species, a master of deception. So if those flashes are more than simple lights in the darkness, what exactly are fireflies saying to each other every night? Hunting technique, the predator beneath the leaves. Most people imagine fireflies as gentle creatures floating peacefully through the night. But that is only half the story. Because before a firefly becomes a glowing adult, it spends most of its life as something very different. A hunter, a surprisingly effective one. Hidden beneath damp soil, fallen leaves, and rotting wood, firefly larvae patrol the darkness in search of prey. Slugs, snails, worms, soft-bodied creatures that many gardeners consider serious pests. And when a target is found, the attack is anything but gentle. The larva injects digestive enzymes and toxic compounds into its prey. The victim becomes immobilized, helpless, unable to escape. Then the firefly slowly consumes the liquefied tissues from within. Let that settle for a moment. One of nature's most beautiful light displays begins with a predator lurking beneath your feet. But does this make fireflies aggressive? Not at all, because their true nature is far more complex. The true nature of fireflies. At their core, fireflies are remarkably peaceful insects. They do not build colonies. They do not invade homes. They do not swarm in destructive numbers. For most of their adult lives, they are focused on only one mission: finding a mate. That is why their lights exist. Not to entertain us, not to decorate summer nights, but to communicate. Every flash is a message. Every pause carries meaning. Every response could determine whether a firefly succeeds in passing on its genes. Yet even within this peaceful world, nature introduces a darker twist. Because not every flashing signal is honest. Some female fireflies from the genus Photuries have evolved an astonishing strategy. They imitate the mating signals of other species perfectly. A male sees the signal. He believes he has found a mate. He approaches, and instead of romance, he finds a predator waiting for him. Sometimes the most dangerous light in the darkness is the one that looks most inviting. So how does a firefly's life begin in the first place? The answer is stranger than many people realize. A strange and remarkable life cycle. The story begins with a flash. A male sends a signal into the darkness. A female responds. And if the timing is perfect, they find each other. After mating, the female lays her eggs in moist soil, leaf litter, moss, or decaying vegetation. Then something extraordinary happens. In some species, even the eggs glow. Tiny living lights hidden beneath the ground. A few weeks later, the larvae emerge. And this stage lasts far longer than most people expect. While adult fireflies may live only a few weeks, the larval stage can last 1, 2, or even 3 years depending on the species. Years spent hunting, growing, surviving. Only after this long hidden childhood do they pupate and transform into the glowing adults we recognize. And perhaps the most surprising part of all is this. The stage we admire most is actually the shortest chapter of their lives. But what makes these insects capable of producing light in the first place? Their extraordinary abilities. For centuries, people believed fireflies were magical. And honestly, it is easy to understand why. Inside their bodies exists one of the most efficient lighting systems ever discovered. Through a chemical reaction involving luciferase, oxygen, and cellular energy, fireflies produce what scientists call cold light. Light with almost no wasted heat. Think about that. A standard light bulb loses much of its energy as heat. A firefly does not. Nearly all of its energy becomes visible light. Few human technologies can match that level of efficiency, but their abilities do not end there. Many species can identify complex flashing patterns in complete darkness. They can distinguish members of their own species from dozens of others. They can communicate across fields, forests, and wetlands using nothing but precisely timed pulses of light. To us, it looks random. To another firefly, it is an entire conversation. A language written in flashes. A language that has evolved over millions of years. And that raises an important question. If fireflies are so remarkable, what value do they bring to our lives? The answer may be greater than most people realize. Why fireflies matter to humans? Most people think fireflies exist only to make summer nights more beautiful. But their value extends far beyond aesthetics. First, their larvae help control populations of slugs and other garden pests naturally. No chemicals, no traps, no pesticides, just a predator performing its role within the ecosystem. Second, fireflies are powerful indicators of environmental health. When fireflies disappear, scientists often see warning signs of habitat degradation, excessive pesticide use, or light pollution. In other words, a healthy firefly population often reflects a healthy ecosystem. But perhaps their greatest contribution comes from science. The same chemical system that allows fireflies to glow has become one of the most important tools in modern biology. Scientists use luciferase to detect bacteria, to study cancer cells, to test new medicines, to monitor genetic activity inside living organisms. And some researchers have even explored how this technology could help in the search for life beyond Earth. Think about that for a moment. A tiny insect drifting silently through your backyard may be helping scientists answer some of humanity's biggest questions, which makes the disappearance of fireflies far more important than losing a beautiful summer sight. Because when their lights begin to fade, we may be losing far more than we realize. And perhaps that is the most fascinating realization of all. Most of us move through our daily lives believing that summer nights are quiet, empty, uneventful, but hidden among the grass, beneath layers of fallen leaves, and along the edges of wetlands, forests, and backyard gardens. Entire stories of communication, courtship, hunting, and survival may already be unfolding every single night. So how can you tell if these living lanterns are still sharing the landscape around you? The first sign usually appears after sunset. Small flashes drifting low above the grass. Brief pulses of light moving between shrubs, along woodland edges, or across damp meadows. Not random, not meaningless, but messages traveling through the darkness. During the day, these luminous beetles are much harder to find. They often rest among tall vegetation, under leaves, within dense ground cover, or in moist areas protected from direct sunlight. And unlike social insects such as ants or bees, they do not build large nests, hives, or colonies. Instead, their presence is often revealed by the habitat itself. Moist soil, leaf litter, native grasses, undisturbed patches of vegetation. These are the hidden nurseries where future generations develop beneath the surface. And when those signs begin to disappear, the story changes. Fewer flashes during summer evenings. Less leaf litter. More artificial lighting. Fewer damp natural spaces. These may be quiet signals that the local population is declining. Because when these creatures of light vanish, they rarely disappear alone. They often take with them part of the ecological balance that once existed in that landscape. And perhaps that is the strangest realization of all. While many people see fireflies as nothing more than beautiful lights decorating the night, they are actually indicators of healthy ecosystems, natural pest controllers, remarkable biological engineers, and silent participants in the world unfolding just beyond our attention. So now I want to ask you something. After learning the true story of the firefly, do you still see these insects the same way? Do you think these glowing wanderers genuinely affect life around your home more than most people realize? And if tiny flashes were appearing somewhere near your property tonight, would you recognize the signs? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the hidden world of one of nature's most extraordinary insects, don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic wildlife stories and fascinating discoveries from the natural world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.